Good evening, Belize, and welcome to XTV's news broadcast for Friday, February 7, 2025. Making the headlines tonight, GOB seeks restructuring of 10 loans from Taiwan, citing cash flow management. Briceño administration introduces motions for $105.4 million in loans. Opposition opposes appointment of Maria Rodriguez as Auditor General, and BNTU process for timely payment of increments. We take our first break and return with the news in detail.
February is all about
best. Equal Opportunities Bill. Belize, we're ready.
Welcome back with your news. I am Drea Espinosa. At today's House meeting, which started unusually late due to the return of Prime Minister John Briceño from an unannounced trip abroad, the administration introduced motions for the restructuring of 10 loans from Taiwan. Some date back to 2004, 2006, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2013, 2017, and 2018. Interestingly though, the administration had already sought a moratorium on repayment of principal in 2021 for 2.5 years. Today's amendment motion to note that repayments restarted and now Taiwan has agreed to a second moratorium, this time for 3 years. PM Briceño explained that this will free up money.
Basically what we're doing is that asking for a further deferment of paying the principal, which will be for the next 3 years. And by doing that, Madam Speaker, we'll be able to better manage our cash flow to the tune of over $30 million that we can be able to, that we can use to be able to continue the implementation of Plan Belize. There's so much work that we have ahead of us. The expansion of NHI, for instance, as we are starting to move into the Kaya district with the continued expansion of free education under the Ministry of Education and housing infrastructure.
Good morning,
there's so much work that we have ahead.
With the
And when
consent
we
of the
met
House, I
with
propose to hear the
our
order of the
partners,
sitting today
our good friends,
to allow the statement by
with the
ministers
officials
at
and the
item 10
government of
on the
Taiwan,
paper
they quickly agreed
to be
to
taken
give
after
us that
public
again,
business,
another
a
moratorium
government business
for the
motions
next
at
3 years,
item
so for us to be able
14.
to
This is
just
to
pay
allow for a
interest
statement
and
to
stay
be
away
delivered by the Honorable Prime Minister.
from the capital, from the loan payments, which we will be able to use to continue to invest on the Belizean people.
The leader of the opposition, Honorable Moses Shine Barrow, said this has to signal that the Briceño administration is having cash flow issues.
I don't see how the Prime Minister, every opportunity he gets, boasts and brags about how well our economy is performing, how robust he's growing the GDP, yet he's having cash flow problems. When you have a facility at a bank, you have to pay your facility. No facility is being deferred for 3 years, Madam Speaker. And why would we need to put ourselves in this position if the economy was performing the way that the Prime Minister claims? So this is proof to the Belizean people that the Briceño administration's economy is underperforming, Madam Speaker. It is anemic. And they're saying that they're broke. They're saying that they have a cash flow problem. He's saying to manage cash flow. Why can't you pay your facilities if you have the cash? Why is the need for a deferral? I don't want to accuse the Taiwanese of any general elections interference, that they're so close to general elections that you were supposed to call today, or that you may dissolve the parliament on Tuesday. You may dissolve it on Tuesday. But so close to a general elections, I didn't hear the government complaining about any cash flow problems. Every minute, the government says how well they are doing. So I don't want to accuse the Taiwanese of interference, but it's just very suspicious that on the eve of a general elections, we have a deferral of 10 loan agreements, Madam Speaker. This is bad management of the taxpayers' dollars, Madam Speaker. This is another demonstration of the incompetence of the Minister of Finance, Madam Speaker, and we continue to ask, where have all the loans gone?
College Area Representative Honorable Patrick Faber says this amounts to kicking the can down the road.
I do share in the view that those motions merely kick the can down the road in terms of repayment of those loans. And that is not something that we want to do ideally at all. But apart from that, the timing of these repayment, restructuring of loans, and the taking on of new loans has to be at very least very suspect. I don't think it's a secret now that we are at the end of this current term. I am pretty sure that the Prime Minister is at the very, very edge of the cliff in terms of announcing the election. And so I don't understand how it is at the very last, what could possibly be the very last meeting, you are attempting to borrow in excess of $200 million, and in the other instance, kicking hundreds of millions of dollars down the road. Something has got to be wrong with that. The Prime Minister and his government, Madam Speaker, in doing that, exudes very big confidence. It's almost like he feels it's a done deal that they have won the upcoming elections. Well, you can look at it that way. You can look at it that they're a very nervous government as well, a very nervous party, that they feel that they have to rush and make sure that all of this is fixed in their favor. Or it could be what some have suggested, that there is some kind of campaign money involved in all of this that they will use to ensure that they come up for the election, something that they have long put on the record that political parties do.
The Briceño administration today introduced 4 loan motions totaling $105.4 US. The largest is for $58.2 million US from the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development for a Belize Reliant and Resilient Energy System project, focusing on energy resilience and greater renewable energy. A second loan for $23.5 million US from the same bank is for a project titled Belize Blue Cities and Beyond to look at carbon market readiness, blue economy investment programs, and upgrade of the Belize City wastewater treatment plant, an expansion of water supply in South San Pedro, a waste management pilot in San Pedro, and assistance to BWS to renovate the only wastewater treatment plant in Belize City. A general objective of the project is the reduction of land-based pollution discharges. Accompanying this project is grant funding of $8.65 million US. A third loan is for $17.5 million US from the Taiwan ICDF for the upgrade of the Philip Golson Highway from the airport junction to Biscayne. The final loan is a Caribbean Development Bank loan to Belize Electricity Limited for $6.2 US, for which the government is providing a sovereign guarantee. The purpose of the loan is for BEL to undertake the 7th power project in Key Cocker. College Area Representative Patrick Faber said the administration is not acting responsibly as he asked, quote, "What is the mad rush?"
And to push through $200 million in loan at the very end of your current term does not look responsible. Does not spell that you're trying to be accountable. And maybe the argument cannot be applied as heavily as I would want it to on this particular loan motion, because we know of the energy crisis that is on us, and maybe that is why I wouldn't be surprised if the Prime Minister says that that is the reason for this particular one. But the others, I don't know. And in fact, this is a matter that should have been addressed a long time ago. Might have taken some while to negotiate, but the energy problem is a big problem, and we cannot have in this country unreliable energy. So from that aspect, I support it, but in the larger realm of things where we see this happening just before the elections, Madam Speaker, I would not be able to support this.
Faber would later tell the government that this is how the super bond came about under a Said Musa administration. Meanwhile, responding to the concern about the timing of the loans and the restructuring, the Prime Minister said the work of the government never stops just because an election is on the horizon. He also reminded that the paperwork for these loans actually take months. The motion to appoint Deputy Auditor General Maria Anel Rodriguez as Auditor General until July 28, 2047, until she attains the age of 65, was introduced at today's House meeting, and it was opposed by Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Moses Shine Barrow. He based his opposition on information he said had been shared with him by some staff within the Office of the Auditor General. The claims are twofold: that she does not have the master's degree in business administration she claims to have from the University of South Wales, and also that she received promotions she was not qualified to receive. He added that her appointment will lead to the further demoralization of the staff in the office.
Mrs. Rodriguez will not get the job done. She is being placed there so that this government can continue with its purported malfeasance and corrupt acts, Madam Speaker. This is not going to deliver on their plan, Belize, Madam Speaker, unless their plan was to scam the people of this country, Madam Speaker. We need a strong Auditor General. We need an office of the Auditor General that will be reformed, that will be able to demonstrate efficacy as was promised, Madam Speaker, because the reason we can't pay our teachers, and they are protesting right now in Belmopan, despite the member from Lekai laughing at me and telling me, oh, you know, I'll get what you want. And certainly is not what I wanted, Madam Speaker. But the reason we have these things happening in our country is because of corruption, misappropriation of funding, and lack of oversight, which the Office of the Auditor General brings, Madam Speaker, should bring, and has not brought. We had problems in the last administration. This government promised to do that, and this appointment of Mrs. Bradley is anything but that. There will be a revolt in that office, Madam Speaker. The senior members of the public service will revolt against Mrs. Rodriguez, and we will get nowhere as a country as far as accountability, transparency, and the good governance that this PUP government promised, Madam Speaker. For those reasons, the opposition cannot support the appointment of Mrs. Rodriguez.
Minister of the Public Service, Honorable Henry Usher, described these allegations as baseless.
It is a fact that Ms. Rodriguez has held senior posts in the Office of the Auditor General, and I asked him to state the date when she received that promotion, because that promotion happened in 2014 under the UDP government, under a Minister of Finance who was his father. So maybe he should check with the former Prime Minister to see if he was satisfied with the work being done by Ms. Rodriguez at the time. Because as I recall, he was also the Minister of the Public Service at that particular time. So, Madam Speaker, he comes in here and tries to suggest or create the impression that this is being done because it's somebody new. No. Ms. Rodriguez has worked in the Office of the Auditor General for a number of years. She has qualified herself and she applied. Madam Speaker, he spoke about creating a strong Office of the Auditor General. Well, perhaps he should start by trying to create a strong opposition, because he does not even have that. Just for the record, Madam Speaker, let everybody, let the public know, let the country know that the office, when the vacancy was created in the office of the Auditor General upon the retirement of Ms. Dorothy Bradley, there was the publication and the vacancy was published. The requisite time frame was kept to, and 5 persons applied for the position. Mr. Gerald Henry did not apply. So instead of writing that letter for you, he should have applied if he wanted to be the Auditor General. There was an interview panel that was established consisting of members of the Public Service Commission, from the Office of the Prime Minister, from the Ministry of Public Service, etc. Interviews were done with the persons who applied, and Ms. Rodriguez received the highest score. That is how promotions are done in the public service, Leader of the Opposition. It's not about appointing anyone who just came in. There is a procedure. The procedure was followed, and Ms. Rodriguez received the highest score in that interview panel. So instead of getting a fairy tale from somebody else, you should have learned the facts of how that appointment came about.
Teachers from all over the country traveled to Belmopan today for a protest rally to launch the Belize National Teachers Union's No Teacher Left Behind platform. The action was announced in January so that the union could keep count of the resolution of the cases of 658 teachers who had not received their increments. In the midst of preparation for today's event, the union learned during payday week at the end of January that another set of teachers would not get their increments that month, despite having been paid in December. The union blamed management for not conducting the calculations properly out of lump sum payments made by the government outside of its smart stream system. However, teachers are fed up of the finger pointing and simply want that the matter permanently resolved. The union says about 3,000 teachers showed up, while official accounts are that the figure was closer to 1,500. Here is National BNTU President Nadia Martin-Kaliz, who addressed areas where both the ministry and the managements have faltered.
And I haven't seen this level of support for the BNTU in years. So it is clear that their mandate is exactly what we're standing up for. Value teachers. We matter. They matter. They're the backbone of education. And the way how they are being treated, and it's not fair at all. Right now I can say this to the country. We had a meeting with the Ministry of Education on Wednesday. Prior to that, we have been holding meetings because we are clamoring for systemic change. This is not about instant fix anymore. This is about the permanent solution to everything. And one of the things we learned from them, which we knew already, is that while they want to be able to give teachers what is rightfully theirs, there is no documentation to support some of those things, which is telling you now that some managements are faltering. They're not pulling their weight. Going in, they realize now what we have been saying is true. The management, some of the managements don't have the number of personnel required to serve this huge group that you see here. And that they, as a ministry, even as government, they need to take this, they need to stop doing what you call a hands-on approach, make policies and give it to them to institute and all of that. That needs to stop. Now that they're going in, they're finding exactly what the teachers are saying. Because when they were sharing with us their report, we couldn't argue because we know that's exactly what is happening. But we applaud them. We applaud them for one, bringing to our attention, which we knew, but we did not have the figures, that while we are putting forward 658 teachers, they have over 2,000 teachers who are affected by this, I call it, archaic, crazy system. It's outdated. It's antiquated. They realize that. And they have already begun to put systems in place to correct that because they shared all of that with us. One of that is removing documentation, going to the management, the ministry, back to the management, back to finance, so they remove that layer. The minute documentation starts to be recorded, everybody's just copied and everything. Nothing has to go back and go back and go back. So that removes like 2-3 weeks, sometimes 2 months. Why some of these teachers are being paid. So value teachers we matter. It's not just about salaries also. Value teachers we matter is about the knowledge that they bring to the classroom. The challenges that they are going through as individuals. the fact that you have schools, and I'm talking specifically to my management, you have these schools because these teachers have been financing these schools. They have been fundraising for you. They have been looking for monies to find these tables and chairs, to pay the electricity bill, to do a lot of these things. That's why you have these schools.
After the break, Compulse speaks on investigation into Gabriel Oriano's death. Stay with us.
The streetlight implementation plan is to replace
Commissioner of Police Chester Williams today provided an update on where they are with the police investigation into the death of 5-year-old Gabriel Oriano, who escaped from Stella Maris School and made his way to the hangar area of Belize City. There, he jumped into the sea and drowned.
We are still looking at the issue. I know it's a very sad one for the nation. I have viewed the video footages that the media houses put out, and it is telling on us as a society to see that the child was seen running through traffic. Several vehicles almost hit him and nobody stopped to check to see who the child was, where he was going, or anything. Like, they just left him alone. It ended up in that sad way that no one would want to see a child. You know, we also reviewed the issue with the police officer who had given an interview to the media, I think to Love FM, stating that she had seen the child and had called the 911 and gave the information. We have checked on that, and it is indeed true. She called, and it showed that immediately after she called, the diary entries showed that she passed the information on to the patrols that were out. The patrols went and checked. Unfortunately, they were not able to find him. And again, you can see in the video the child was moving very fast. And so because of that, the patrol was not able to locate the child. It's sad. I wish it had not happened that way. But I hope that there is something that we all as a society can learn from what happened to that child.
Is the police looking to criminally charge anybody to be held accountable for the death?
It is going to be extremely difficult. At the end of investigation, we will refer the matter to the DPP, but I don't foresee her giving such directives. At the end of the day, I think even the teachers at Stella Maris are shaken up by what happened. So they are going through their own things right now, because certainly they would not have wanted that to happen to the child. Right? So, but we'll see when that time comes.
Is there a main fact the police is trying to establish in their investigation?
Well, the issue that we'll be looking at is to see if there is any culpability in terms of negligence on the part of anybody. They would know that if you have charge of a child, you have not just a moral obligation, but also a legal obligation to ensure the safety of that child. And once that obligation is broken by way of negligence, then you can be held liable.
In related news, close to 30 cyclists held a bike rally Thursday night in honor of little Gabrielle in Belize City. They had been called to come out and express solidarity with the family. It was also meant as a symbolic act to advocate for the safety and well-being of all autistic children. Call time was 7 p.m. and they started off in front of the Uno gas station on the Philip Golson Highway entrance to the city and made their way along the route he followed. They also paid a visit to his father at the home where Gabriel lived on Emma Street off LaCroix Boulevard, and delivered financial donations to the family in a box decorated with blue balloons. They were mostly all wearing blue. Gabriel's father, Vidal Oriano, can be contacted at 629-0764. After years of delays, that is, since 2018, the Belize City Council today hosted a special signing ceremony at the City Hall for a new collective bargaining agreement, CBA, with the Christian Workers Union on behalf of their staff. The new CBA will run for the next 3 years and will remain in place until a new one is signed. It covers 148 employees. The mayor of Belize City, Bernard Wagner, spoke on the reason for the delay, while CWU President Leonora Flowers said they didn't get all they had wanted, but the employees were happy with what was agreed upon.
We received from the union their proposal in 2019, and then COVID came. And thereafter, we were out for like 2 years, 2020, 2021. And by the time 21 came around, it was election again. And so a lot of delays occurred, but the fact is that we were both committed as parties to get the CBA done for the benefit of the workers. The allowances that we were able to really increase, we had the paternity benefit where we increased the days for paternity leave from 7 to 10 days. We also increased those staff who were at the pay scale 5, so they were able to get from 16 days vacation days to 20 days. We were also able to increase like bicycle allowance from $35 per month to $40 per month for those eligible staff who uses their bike for council work. We also look at motorcycle allowance from $60 per month to $75 for those eligible workers again. So in a nutshell, it captured a lot of benefits for staff, and we were constantly, as a group, both the union and ourselves, trying to reach a middle ground to ensure that workers' benefit were at the forefront.
We don't always get what we ask for, but the council has acquiesced some, and our members have indicated to us that they're willing to accept what was awarded, and so on that ground we signed.
A car dealer, Darwin Blanco, on Thursday uploaded a video on social media directed at the Prime Minister, Honorable John Briceño, asking him to reconsider the proposed changes to be implemented when importing motor vehicles into the country. The proposed change concerns the valuation procedures, which car dealers have said would result in a higher fee. Blanco explained that the journey through Mexico is very dangerous and costly, as they are easy targets for money extortion, and it adds salt to the wound when they arrive at the Belize border to experience the same at the hands of their own public officers. Blanco begged the PM to take the livelihoods of the young men into consideration.
You pay whatever you have to pay at the Mexican side, then you go over to the Belize side. When you get to the Belize side, once again, our Belize custom officers see us as what? Cha-ching. I'm going to say it, Prime Minister. There are many, many of your custom officers, past and present, who are nothing but crooks. I can call several names. But because I know I have family members that still do this business back and forth, I'm going to keep quiet about their names because I don't want to screw them over. But I can call names that I know for a fact those custom officers and the brokers are crooks. I'm going to give you a prime example of a scenario that I had to deal with last year, one of the many scenarios. I took home 3 Sienna vans last year. 3, along with another vehicle. The broker that I was dealing with made it clear to me that the custom officer got to get his portion. And for each one of those vans, he charged me $1,800. $1,800 for each one of those vans. And out of that $1,800 that he charged me for each one of those vans, $800 went to his pocket. Every day, those custom agents are stealing money from the Belizean government and the Belizean people. Every day, those custom officers are stealing money from these hard-working guys who sacrifice their lives every time that they're on that road to bring a vehicle to you people. So I'm telling you, I'm begging you, Prime Minister, please, please, reconsider the choice that you guys have made as far as the increase on these fees that you guys are going to put on these young men.
Commissioner of Police Chester Williams has reported that the Office of the DPP has not yet directed what charge, if any, will be levied against the individual who shot gang leader Brandon Baptist at a football game at the Marion Jones Stadium last week Friday. The suspect is claiming he shot Baptist in self-defense.
The DPP is trying to see if there's anything that negates that self-defense component. And so there is a need for us to try to see if we can locate more witnesses who will be able to give account, and again, that is hard. Nobody wants to speak to the police on that issue. We did manage to get some statements, but those were not sufficient to negate the self-defense that is being raised by the accused shooter and his associates. So we will wait and see how it goes from there.
Have you been able to confirm whether Baptist had a firearm?
From statements recorded from witnesses, yes.
Will the police be held accountable any at all for not properly searching the persons going into the game?
I don't know if there's any evidence to that. From what we gathered, even from the organizers, the police did in fact was searching people who went into the game. But as I said before, the perimeter of the stadium is extremely weak. There are some areas that has no fence, and even this fenced area has space in between where you can just throw anything into the stadium and get it when you get in there. So I think that what we need to do is to find a more secure location next time for games like these. I personally, even when we have our basketball and football tournaments through LIU, my instructions is always that we do not have these games go into the night. We try to have them done before night setting, right? So again, these are things that we have to look at with the other organizations that are having these games to make sure that not just having adequate security, but make sure that it is done during the daytime and not into nighttime. Because when night sets in, it makes it more difficult for law enforcement.
After the break, minister says they aim to industrialize agriculture sector within next 5 years. Stay tuned.
the Social Security Board and the Labor Department. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
With the new project to industrialize excess carrot produce from communities in the north, on Thursday, Honorable Hussein Mai told the media that there are other agricultural products that could be industrialized as well, especially given the saturation of other agricultural commodities in the Belizean market. He said that the next step is the industrialization of the sector and added that his ministry intends to do that within the next 5 years.
We are producing enough for the nation. The excesses now, we have to find a way to deal with it. Process it, store it, but we have to do that. It's time for us to look at industrializing the agriculture sector. We have to do that. And in the next 5 years, that's our goal, industrialize the agriculture sector.
In related news, carrot farmers from San Carlos, Orange Walk had, like last year, recently been complaining that their produce is not selling and that their carrots had begun to spoil. On Thursday, Agriculture Minister Honorable Hussein Mai reiterated what he had said previously, that carrot farmers were harvesting more than the local market can consume and that carrots are a perishable commodity. However, since then, the ministry has made way for the creation of a new carrot juice industry.
This year there was 90 acres of carrots planted. That, I think, could yield 1.4 million pounds of carrots. The country's weekly consumption is 40,000 pounds. So do the math, right? There's no way you can consume all the carrot in such a short time before it starts to spoil. And carrots is highly perishable. Carrots shelf life in the refrigerator is 3 to 4 days. All right. So, given the nature of that vegetable, it's a challenge for the farmers and for the ministry to find ways to dispose of it. You cannot consume it. So we had to decide what to do with it. We cannot allow farmers to throw away product after they have worked so hard, invested so much time and resources in it, to lose it. So we decided to partner with Silkgrass, and I want to thank Henry Canton and Silkgrass Company for helping us to process the carrot into carrot juice. So today, the BMDC is marketing carrot juice. As we speak, we are still buying from the farmers and converting into carrot juice. It is a great initiative. I think it sets the pace for how we are to operate in the future.
In more agriculture news, it appears that the threat of fusarium will impact northern Belize for the time being. Minister of Agriculture Honorable Hussein Mai had previously told the media the government is considering resistant species of sugarcane. On Thursday, Honorable Mai explained that the government will also work on the incorporation of more mechanical methods of farming to prevent the spread of fusarium.
Our technical team is saying that we may have a 30% decrease in sugarcane production this year. We'll have sugar yield reduction too. And so this project, which seeks to look at an integrated systems approach, is considering resistant or alternative varieties that are resistant to drought, some resistant to excess moisture, and some resistant to fusarium. This is a whole different package. There's not a silver bullet that will cure fusarium. It has to be an integrated approach. It has to be integrated cropping systems. It has to be a change of technology. I mean, simple, if you walk into a cane field trying to control fusarium with a knapsack sprayer, and you walk into the next field, you will be transmitting the fungus from one field to the next. So the question comes up, should we use drones now? Right? In terms of harvesting, should we move away now or phase out manual harvesting and move towards mechanization to lower your costs? Again, these are things that we have to analyze, and these are things that the project has to look at seriously.
And And around midday today, Ronnie's Tortilla Store, a popular establishment in Belmopan across from Brody's, was robbed. Reports are that 2 men entered the establishment through the back door. One of them was masked and armed with a gun. 3 employees were working at the time, and one managed to escape and flag down a police mobile in the area. Police then rushed to the scene but were not able to capture the culprits. The unmasked man is described as being 5 feet 6 inches in height, thick set in stature, and of brown complexion. The men were able to escape with an undisclosed amount of money. No injury was reported, and police are investigating. And with that, we have come to the end of our newscast. The repeat can be viewed on the station later tonight at 9 and again Monday at midday. Join us again Monday for another news broadcast. I am Drea Espinosa. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend.